It's week 10, and I'm hooked on a feeling, and I'm going all the way to the spirit in the sky in a moonage daydream. And even though I've fooled around and fell in love, I'm not in love, but I want you back. So come and get your love, your cherry bomb, your pina colada. Ooh, child, there's not a mountain high enough that can stop me from doing Countdown to Infinity War.
Countdown to Infinity Wars. Countdown to Infinity Wars. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Countdown to Infinity War, where I'm watching all 17 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies leading up to the release of Avengers Infinity War, coming out worldwide now in across the board, across the whole universe, coming out at the end of April 2018. Last week we were watching Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and this week it's the Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 1. So as you may know, the point of these videos is not to review the films, not to discuss the films. I don't really care about plot, characters, anything like that. What I'm interested in as I'm watching these movies is working out, does the timeline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe actually make any sense whatsoever? So far pretty much yes. I'd say about 95% yes. And yeah, so it's not been too bad, not been too heartbreaking. Very interesting in some of the cases. But what we're interested in this week is, has Guardians of the Galaxy made any effect on the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline? And to find out, we must look at the timeline. Okay, so here is the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline as it stands at week 10, at the point of Guardians of the Galaxy, and all the way up the top here is Guardians of the Galaxy. So the only thing I could really pinpoint is the fact that it does take place in 2014. I don't know a month or anything like that. It's difficult to sort of gauge when it kind of takes place in the year, but it must have been 2014, and it takes place over the course of 5 days. So how I calculated that, so essentially day 1 we see Peter stealing the orb. A bit of time passes. Day 2 roughly, we then see him on Xandar where he meets Rocket and Groot and Gamora. Then it's probably another day and he arrives at the kiln, where he then meets Drax in the evening. Day 4 is when they break out, and it probably takes them, it's early in the morning when they break out. It's like they're having breakfast. So I've said they break out in the morning and they arrive at nowhere in the afternoon, in the PM, and then they have another evening where they're doing the gambling and all the rest of it, and then and then it's day 5 where they actually save Xandar. So all it happens quite quickly. In all these films, it seems to, when you kind of break down everything that's happening, it's usually always just like 4 or 5 days that these events are taking place. The timeline might then go on a wee bit longer, because obviously they stay on Xandar for a little while, in which time Nova Corps manages to rebuild the Milano, which I'm assuming doesn't take very a short amount of time. So I don't know, they're maybe there for another couple of weeks or so after the events of Ronin and everything like that. But I mean, the main body of the movie takes place over those 5 days. Anyway. One other thing to note, if we skip all the way back to here, obviously back in 1988 it was confirmed as when Peter Quill was abducted. So at the time Black Widow was a little 4-year-old toot. Tony Stark would have been about 19 years old, and Captain Steve Rogers would have been about 70 and still frozen in ice. Well, thanks very much for tuning in, for joining us. So next week I'm going to be watching the, I think, underrated Age of Ultron, which I'm quite excited to look in that. So I'm going to be watching Age of Ultron. Turns out I'm going to be able to see Black Panther on the 23rd of March. That's when I'm going to get to see it. That's when it comes to my cinema. I can now book tickets and all the rest of it. So very excited to see Black Panther in a few weeks' time. But until then, going to stick with the timeline as it stands. So next week, going to be a bit of Age of Ultron. Until then, see you later.